How are you? How is everybody doing? You're very welcome to Fab on the Podcast, episode 6. The noise you can hear in the background is my dog choking. God. I'm recording from home today. I'm not in my usual location, I'm not in my usual little studio. And yeah, Kai likes to remind me that he's here and likes to look for attention. So if you can hear him in the background, coughing a fucking lung up or growling at me, it's just phase it out. Just try and block it out of your mind. I do anyway. So as I said, I'm in my apartment today, and I am solo today. So it's just me by myself. And I have a particular topic in mind for today's podcast. Topcast. Ooh, today's Topcast. Oh gosh. Yeah, so I have a particular topic in mind today, which was brought on by my good pal Roisin. She sent me a video during the week and said, this is something that you need to talk about on the podcast. And it's something that I've touched on before. I mention it a lot on my Instagram, and I've mentioned it before in like previous videos that I've put up on like TikTok and stuff like that. And it's body types, right? Spoiler alert, I'm gonna just put my opinion out there on it straight away. Bollox. Okay? It could be summed up in one word. Bollox. And I want to just get that message out there straight away, right? I've spent the last 2 to 3 days, I would say, preparing for this podcast. You know, researching, taking notes, doing everything, trying to be open-minded in some cases. And honestly, I've just spent the last 2 to 3 days fuming over just the amount of pure and utter shy that people talk. Like, seriously, it's just insane. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, what it is it started off in the 1940s, right? People decided to start classifying, I suppose is the word, women's body types. So it started off with some bloke who called them like an endomorph and something along these lines, right? It's basically putting women into different classifications based on their body types, right? You're this, you're this, you're this. That was back in the 1940s. That's then changed and evolved over time. So what was originally the endomorph, ectomorph, all of this shit, ended up being fruit and veg, like fucking apples and oranges and all, like bananas, like right? And that evolved again, and then there was like utensils brought into it, like so people were being compared to spoons, like I don't know, like fucking Coke cans, picture frames, like it's just absolute bollocks. Like it's hilarious to think about. Like if someone came over to me and goes, oh yeah, you're definitely a cucumber. I'm like, sorry? What the fuck did you just say to me? A fucking cucumber? What are you on about? Oh my gosh. But anyway, it was just supposed to be easier ways of remembering the different body types, because obviously nobody's going to be like, okay, oh hi, Amy Mahoney, ectomorph, Aries, and I work in sales, you know what I mean? So the whole idea of it is that there's an ideal figure, right? If you're listening to this, I'm not watching it, I'm doing those little things with my fingers, you know, those, what, like quotation marks or something, I don't fucking know. Anyway, there's supposed to be, everything is based around the ideal figure. And from the research that I've done, everything seems to point back to the hourglass figure. Oh, this swear gets really fucking funny. So everything seems to point back to the hourglass figure being the ideal figure. Why? That's what I spent the 3 days trying to find out and trying to research, trying to get to the absolute core of this. Like, why the fuck is an hourglass so sought after and the ideal figure, and not a fucking pear or a banana or whatever the fuck? So, and just kind of side note, there's a few things that just need to be read word for word for you to understand how absolutely fucking ridiculous they are. So I have some things written down on my notes, as you can see, and I have some screenshots of things that I've found on the World Wide Web that I just need to read word for word. So one of them being, now let me get the screenshot up and we'll just have a fucking laugh about this. So scientists claim it's in men's nature to prefer the hourglass body shape because having an hourglass figure is a sign that a woman is young, has never been pregnant, and has key reproductive resources. Just gonna let that sink in for a minute. Can you, like, insane. So why this is important as well is certain people are going to be hourglass, right? That's going to be their body type. And then there are the others. And when I looked into it, and I done a little bit of this in college as well, you know, dressing different body types to accentuate or flatter or get the desirable, all of these words all float around getting the desirable figure. So for example, if you have a pear body type, you're typically more bottom heavy, and you should wear clothes that accentuates your top half so that you look more in proportion, but you also need to make sure that you define your waist. Yeah, so it's all about defining your waist. Heaven fucking forbids you didn't define your waist. How would men know then that you have key reproductive resources if you didn't define your waist? Oh, sure, we might as well call it a fucking day and bring on the bleeding apocalypse. You know what I mean? Like, oh, Mr. God. Oh. The reason I have these notes down here, right, and I've had to like really shorten these down. The reason I'm really reading off these notes here is because I could just go on a rampage about this. Like, this is it's just insane. I promise you, it's not all gonna be ranty, right? There's gonna be a lot more to it. But that's basically where it all came from. All of this body type shite. And at the core of it, at the very core of there needing to be a fucking body type scale that we can all figure out where we sit on and then go from there, is to please men and to look a certain way because that's what's most desirable to men. I just needed that to be really clearly understood, because honestly I didn't know. As I said, I had to go looking, like, where did this come from? Why is it this? And that's where it is. That's where it's coming from. When I looked at, like, say, YouTube videos and online blogs and stuff like that around dressing for your body type, another layer of it was, you know, celebrity, looking like certain celebrities and getting all these desirable, flattering, accentuate, and all of those words going around. And honestly, I was in such a bad mood, because I was like, this is these are circulating, like these videos are circulating. Like between 2 videos that I saw on YouTube, they had about 6 million views. And it just makes me really sad to think that there's women that have no clue how to dress themselves, and they're coming across these videos on YouTube and they're being told that they're a banana. And then that they have to go out and behave as such. So you have to go out there and behave as though you're a banana, only dress to suit your banana shape. It's laughable. It's laughable, but the content is presented in such a way that you're like, oh well, yeah, absolutely, that's what the way it is, and of course that's the only way there is, you know what I mean? And I think why it hasn't been laughable up until this point is that the female brain, there's so much going on at all times, and we tend to overthink a lot. I've spoke about this in the podcast before. We tend to overthink a lot of things that we're doing, and that is actually like it's been scientifically proven, or whatever the term is, that women do overthink more than men, and there are certain parts of the brain that are responsible for that. And so the definition is, what did I have written down here now? Wait, 1 second. When I would get this, decision fatigue, right? So decision fatigue is something that women struggle with. So if you tell people that they are an apple and you can only wear X, Y, and Z because you're an apple, in some people's minds that seems easier than going out to the shops and trying to dress yourself and just being absolutely fucking lost. And you can nearly understand that. You can nearly make sense of that. However, if you pigeonhole people into only wearing X, Y, and Z, then what's going to happen is you're going to end up with a fucking miserable person. You're going to end up with somebody that has even more insecurities than what they started out with, because they'll see somebody with, you know, a gorgeous dress on them. And I've heard this term time and time again. I've heard people saying this to me all of the time. I love this, but I could not wear that. And I just think that's a result of that. And even if you haven't gone online and searched up what particular body type you are and found out whether you're a can of Coke or a PlayStation 5, saying that because I'm looking at Steve's PlayStation. I am a PlayStation 5. Can I please get something that accentuates my hips? Oh, stop. Right, hang on. Let me get back to my train of thought. So, I really have to throw myself there, right? Compose yourself. So, where was I? So, if you haven't gone online and found out what body type you are, and just another note on that, there's actually like mathematical formulas and everything. Like, you have to do out a fucking equation to find out and all, you know what I mean? So if you haven't gone online and done that, you're likely still being influenced by it. So even if you haven't categorized yourself into one of the shapes, I would say that 99% of people that are going to listen to this now have said at some stage or other in their life, I cannot wear that because of this. And I've done it. And in my case, it was, I can't wear that because I have no boobs. And that was my insecurity, like, for a long time. Like, that's lovely on her, but I have no boobs. I couldn't wear that. And it's just sad, like, isn't it? Because that's not factually correct at all. There is nothing that I couldn't put on my body because I don't have bigger boobs. So for me to say that is, one, factually incorrect, and two, it's also just really restricting. I'm really restricting myself by saying things like that. Take a breath. Take a breath. It's okay. Oh gosh. So that was kind of where I'm going with that. So I think we all have been influenced by these, you know, ideal figures, ideal shapes, and flattering this, and, you know, accentuating that. We've all been influenced by that, haven't we, at some stage or another? And I just want to flesh out, like, I really just want to call bullshit on it. It absolutely kills creativity to say, no, I can only wear, you know, a wrap dress, or I can't wear a bodycon dress, or I can't do this, I can't do that, I can only do this, I can't do that. Like, it's, where's your personality coming through? You know what I mean? I think in a lot of the times we've gotten so far away from what actually just feels good, and we're only going now to fucking, yeah, wrap dresses and only high rise this and only, oh god, it's, the amount of stuff is just, it's just absolutely ridiculous. I wanted to take myself as an example. So as I said, not a whole lot going on upstairs in terms of that sounded like upstairs in my mind. But I meant more like up top, right? I'm probably the same size chest wise now than I was when I was, say, like 15 or 16. You know what I mean? Like, there hasn't been much change there. I've always been just around the same. And you can imagine when I was younger and everybody else, I was going through a stage where everybody else was, you know, getting their boobies, and I was like, excuse me, where's my boobies? I don't have any boobs. Like, when am I gonna come? You know what I mean? So I used to always it was always the thing that, like, I would wear bras and the girls would be like the girls, not the girls, they're my friends now because they would never say anything like this to me, but the girls on the roads would be like, what are you wearing a bra for? Like, you have no boobs. You know what I mean? So it was a little insecurity of mine, to be honest. And I always remember, like, from a young age wanting to get my boobs done, and I must have said it when I was like probably from about 15 or 16. Thinking back to that time, I'm wondering how I even knew about boobs, like boob, what you call it? Boob, not a boob job, like getting your boobs done basically. How would I have known about that? It was probably just from the telly and stuff like that. I'm sure I was watching the girls at the Playboy Mansion at that stage. I was like, wow, I need boobs like that. But obviously I didn't. But it did, in some ways, affect me and what I wore, as I was saying, like when I was getting older then, and when I kind of start going out and stuff like that, there would have been a lot of times where I would have had those scenarios. You're online shopping, or you're shopping in real life, and, you know, like the low cut things, or things that would be like quite, say, tight on the top. I would always be like, oh yeah, God, like I wouldn't be able to wear that, like, because I don't have the boobs for it. And I'd love to sit here and tell you it all changed when. But like, honestly, I don't think there was any fucking defining moment, or you know, like I didn't sit there one day and a light bulb went off in my head and it's like, no, it's actually nice, you know what I mean? Like, this is my body and blah blah blah. I'm not gonna tell you that happened because it didn't. But sorry, I've just lost my train of thought because this always happens to me when I'm sitting here and recording the podcast. I just get this intrusive thought and I'm like, what if nothing is recording? What if I'm sitting here talking and it's not actually recording? Oh god, so I just had to check that, sorry. So no particular defining moment where I thought, you know what, it's actually grand not to have boobs, but maybe it just came with age. You know, obviously in your teenage years you're very conscious of yourself and you know what other people have and what you might not have, and there's a lot of comparisons and stuff like that. So I'm sure it just came with age, and at a certain point I just stopped really giving a bollox. But if I was one to care about, you know, not having any boobs and wanting to dress to say cover up that particular insecurity, I'd probably go on to Google and I'd probably go on to the likes of YouTube and have a little browse around and, you know, see what I can find. This would be one thing that I would find that I came across. I'm going back to the screenshots here now. From a website titled, it was like a blog post, say, titled 21 Ways to Dress a Flat Chest. This is a particular part of the post that is attempting to help people that have a flat chest and want to dress accordingly for their flat chest. So, how to dress the flat chest to flatter, there's that word again, your shape and make you feel confident. It's worth noting that many women with a flat chest have toned arms, a big asset of the body. Says who? Therefore, when considering the most flattering clothes for a flat chest, you should not only camouflage the small bust, but choose styles that can accentuate your shapely arms. The best way to dress the flat chest is to wear nothing with designs to direct attention away from your chest and break up the space. Sorry, to wear clothing with designs. Sorry, I'll start that again. The best way to dress the flat chest is to wear clothing with designs to direct attention away from your chest and break up the space. Best clothes for small busts are tops with designs like bows or ruffles. Because they can add dimension to your chest. You can also draw eyes to other areas of the body using creative ways to distract from noticing your flat chest. This is just ridiculous. Oh, sorry. Another great way is to cover up your bust area strategically to camouflage the bony chest. Honest to God, like, and that, I didn't even just pick out the worst part of it. That was one of the first options that came up on Google when I searched it. So like, that's insane. That is absolutely insane. Like, you can also draw eyes to other areas of your body using creative ways to distract others from noticing your flat chest. Like, in what way is that helping? Firstly, it's so ridiculously vague that, like, if I was deeply insecure about this and I came to a website like that, like, draw your eye to other areas of your body using creative ways. Sorry. What creative ways? Like, what are you on about? And also, why do I need to distract anybody from my flat chest? This would, honestly, if this was still an insecurity of mine, say I read this back when I was, 17 or 18, and read it, and I would only it would only reinforce that insecurity. It would only tell me that, you know what, that this actually is a really fucking big problem that you have, and you need to distract people from seeing it. It's just so fucking bizarre. But it's just a perfect example of even if you're not feeding into the whole dressing as an apple type of thing, you could still be seeing influences of it in other ways, which is just, it's absolutely insane. And on that, with the whole, if you have gone down the route of finding out which body shape you are and doing all of that, this was something that I found quite interesting. This is one of my other screenshots. I'll share all these with you as well for the absolute crack. But this was actually a study, so I'll read it just out to you here. A study of the shapes of over 6,000 women carried out by researchers at the North Carolina State University circa 2005 for apparel found that 46% were rectangular, right? Just over 20% were a spoon. Just under 14% were an inverted triangle and 8% were hourglass. So that means that the minority of people have that desirable figure that the rest of the population are aspiring to have. What? And another study found that the average woman's waistline had expanded by 6 inches since the 1950s, and that women in 2004 were taller and had bigger busts and hips than those of the 1950s. This is the important part. Note, however, that a 2021 study found that slight changes in measurement placement definition can recharacterize up to 40% of women into different body shapes, meaning cross-research comparisons may be flawed unless the exact measurement definitions are used. Now, I wanted to highlight this, right, because what that means is, based on the formula that you use to find out what body shape you are, you could be one or the other. So there could be body type formulas out there telling you that you're an apple when you're actually a rectangle. I can't say it seriously, sorry, it's just so fucking ridiculous. So that in itself is so flawed, and people could be placing so much emphasis on this body shape that they are or they feel they are, and it's completely flawed. It's just ridiculous, it makes no sense. It honestly just boggles my mind. So that's, I suppose, that in a nutshell. That's where it's come from. That's what I believe, in my opinion, to be the effects that it's having, how it's trickling into people in their everyday lives and what they're wearing, and not being able to dress based on what they like to wear. Because for years and years and years, since the 1940s, since this came along, there's been that influence of dressing to accentuate certain parts of your body, to look like that ideal figure, to attract men. Absolutely insane. So I said at the start that I didn't want this to be just a big rant, and I really don't want it to be. I don't want to just sit here and bitch and complain about something that's been happening this whole time and not come up with a possible solution. So the antidote. That's what I have written down here. Dopamine dressing, and I think this is getting a bit more and more popular, that particular term, dopamine dressing. In essence, it does exactly what it says in the tin. It's wearing and picking out clothes that you just feel good in. I think that that's quite hard because one, these societal norms have been in place for so long that it's hard to move away from them. And also it's a little bit fluffy, like, isn't it? It's just a bit, it's like, wear what makes you feel good. I say it all the time, wear what makes you feel good, but that's hard. I'm not saying that that's easy. There's a bit of work to be done there to figure out what it is that makes you feel good, and to just go about yourself in that manner and pick out the things that make you feel good, wear the things that make you feel good. Fuck everyone else. Capital letters, F-U-C-K, fuck everyone else. Wear what makes you feel good, right? How are we gonna do that? I have come up with this fun, but it's going to be a little bit difficult as well. I'm going to call it a formula. It's basically like, remember when you were a kid, you used to get the magazines and they'd have these little quizzes on it, and it'd be like, what is your favourite colour, say, and it'd go in then and ask you all these questions, and it'd go yes with an arrow in one direction, and then you start answering another set of questions, or no with an arrow in the other direction, and then you answer all those ones. So I took that. I don't know what that's called. Anyone knows what that's actually called? I tried to Google it, but I'm like, how will I find that? You know, like, how do I actually explain that to Google and ask them to come up with an answer for me? You know what I mean? So I went about this. I needed a particular example, right, to go about this, and the number one thing that I hear from people in my DMs is they want to hide their belly. It could be that they're, you know, they're having a baby and they're not really feeling it themselves and they want to just hide at certain places or whatever. So it starts with this: do you know why you want to hide your belly? This is going to sound a little bit gas, right, but just bear with me, right? And the answers are obviously yes and no. So assuming for a minute that you answer yes, do you have the power to change how you feel about it? Right? There's only one answer to this, because the answer is always yes. And as hard as it might be, you have the power to change how you feel about your body. If it sounds like I'm reading this out, I actually am. I'm reading it directly off the page, because I think it's actually very important that I read it as I wrote it, because I've done a few drafts of this and I think it's important that it's just exactly how I've written it. So as I said, only one answer, always yes. You have the power to change how you feel about any situation, especially about how you appear to yourself. The next question is, are you willing to come out of your comfort zone and flaunt all of you? And there's a couple of answers to this. The first one being yeah. So if you are willing, then perfect, go on girl. And I have written down here, and I think this is really important, the only time you ever look bad is when you're not confident. The only accessory that you're ever missing in your outfit is confidence. If you're not confident in it, you're not going to feel good. That's the bottom line. That really is the bottom line. But you might also answer no to that question, so you mightn't be willing to come out of your comfort zone right now and, you know, wear something that doesn't necessarily hide the bits that you want to hide. So to that, if your answer is no, do you know what it'd take for you to come out of your comfort zone? Do you know what it'd take for you to come out of your comfort zone? Have a think about it yourself, if you feel like this is applicable to you. Do you know what it'd take? And then, if you do know what it'd take for you to come out of your comfort zone, ask yourself, is it reasonable and is it within your circle of control, right? I'm going to take my example here for a minute. If what it took for me to come out of my comfort zone was getting my boobs done, is that reasonable? I have to actually think about that. Like, you have to think about, do you feel that you can justify changing yourself, changing how you appear in order to feel comfortable with yourself? That's what I mean by, is it reasonable? And is it within your control? Your insecurity, something that you really gets you down, is what I'm trying to say, mightn't actually be anything that you can change. You know what I mean? I'm gonna really expose myself here with you for a minute. Sometimes I actually get very insecure about the shape of my head. So when I wear my hair certain ways and all, I'm like, the shape of my head is so fucking weird. Like, I have a big forehead. The bones on the side of my head can be a bit fucking weird looking sometimes. But I can't change that, like. I can't go anywhere and be like, hi, I actually don't like the shape of my head, can you change it please? That's just not something I can do. So I have to just learn to love my weird head. Nobody's gonna be able to look at me the same anymore. They're gonna be looking at my weird head. Oh, for fuck's sake. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent there. But right, if it is reasonable, and if you are, like, say for example, if it's reasonable, if you say, if it is the belly and you're a bit insecure, a bit self-conscious about the belly, and it is reasonable for you to change it, and it is within your circle of control for you to change it, right? Do it. Absolutely do it. Work on yourself, but make sure that you do it for you. Nobody else. Nobody else. And check back as to, and ask yourself why you feel insecure about it. Remember, how you feel about yourself starts and ends with the story that you tell yourself about yourself in your own mind. Right? I'm really putting emphasis on this now. Really putting emphasis on it. Nobody else or nothing else can make you feel fully secure in yourself. As I said, it starts and ends with you. So I always say, love what you have while working towards what you want. And if this is something that you feel that you need to change about yourself, please, please, please just force work on being grateful for what you have. And that's really all it is. Like, sit and thank your body for everything that it does. Keeps you alive every single day. I think we forget that sometimes, you know what I mean? We get so caught up in our insecurities that we forget that your body wakes itself up and goes to bed every day, allows you to breathe, eat, keeps you alive, it keeps you ticking over. And that's the bottom line, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, that's all it's gonna come down to. Be grateful for it. Be happy with it. And then start working on it. You know what I mean? But really, truly just be happy with it. And then go on about yourself. Because I think even if you do make changes to your body, if it comes from a place of insecurity, and if you're not truly happy in yourself at this very moment in time, I just feel like there's always going to be something that you're unhappy about. So I might have gone and got my boobs done and then thought, you know, I don't really love my nose, let me go and get that done as well, let me do this, let me do that, and then just start making all of these changes because I wouldn't have addressed that insecurity and overcome that. I hope that makes sense. Now, if it's not reasonable and within your circle of control, for example, my weird shaped head, the answer is no. And All that's left to do then is address the insecurities in your own mind. Dig deep and understand yourself. Do one test for me. Wear something that doesn't hide your belly. Did anyone die? Did the world end? No? Well then, keep going. Get out of that comfort zone. It's fucking shite in there anyway, right? Nobody's gonna die. That's the thing, like we just seem to think that if we don't hide something that we're insecure about, that the whole world's gonna stop and look at you and be like, oh Jesus. Can I just tell you one thing? Nobody cares. Nobody cares, and I mean that in the nicest possible way, and that's coming from a place of love. Nobody cares. You have to just get yourself out of your comfort zone. If it's something that you're not particularly comfortable about, if you do want to change it, but if it's not reasonable for you to change it, then are you going to just sit and just accept it and just live unhappily with that insecurity, or are you going to do something about it? That's what you need to ask yourself. I know I'm being very harsh here. I know I am. I don't think we just need to do a bit of work on our insecurities and just really stopping to try and understand them. Now I want to go back for a minute, because you could have answered to one of the questions. Do you know why you want to hide your belly? And if you answered no, then can you try to understand why? And again, only one answer to this question. Only one answer. And it's yes, because you can try to understand it. Sit down and list out all the possible reasons as to why you might not like your belly. That's not going to be a nice thing to do, but you have to do it. You have to just flesh it out, try and understand why. And then that's going to allow you to debunk it, right? If you don't like it because you think that society thinks that you should have a flat belly, well, fuck what society thinks. Fuck that. Like, nobody else has the power over you to make you feel a certain way about yourself, yeah? So if that is the case, then all you need to do is just sit and, do you know what, say, fuck that. And then that brings us back to the same. So it brings us back to, do you have the power to change how you feel about it? And again, it's a yes, and you make your way through the whole thing. Now, I understand that it's a little bit difficult for me to explain all that, and there's a little bit of back and forward there, but I hope that makes sense. I think all lines come to, you have the power to change how you feel. I don't think we always know that we do have the power to change how we feel. But I hope that this gives you some guidance as to how to go about doing that. I want to leave you with this closing metaphor, we'd say, for example, just a bit of food for thought room. I think that dressing for your body type, or only dressing to accentuate certain parts of you, is similar and can be compared to only having friends that's name starts with S, right? It's absolutely ridiculous, like completely shallow. There's no real reason to it. If somebody told you that they were only friends with people that's name S, you'd be like, what? That's absolutely fucking ridiculous. And what you'd be doing is you'd be depriving yourself of real friendships with people, real experiences, real enjoyment, and that level of fulfillment, all for a stupid rule. That's the thing that I compare it to in my mind, and it just seems to me like it's restricting yourself for no fucking reason. I think we could do a bit of work on getting to the root of our insecurities and fleshing things out and just finding out what makes us feel good. Fuck everything else. Yeah? Wear what makes you feel good. Fuck everything else. What I want for people to take from this, and what I'd love for people to do, is just challenge yourself. Like, can you come out of your comfort zone? We know that nobody's gonna die if you do. Challenge yourself. Come on, get out, do it, let's go. You know what I mean? Find what makes you feel good. Fuck everyone else. Challenge yourself. Okay? Do it for me. I know that's like very deep of a topic. But I really hope that it helps people get an understanding as to why we're thinking the way that we think these days, and hopefully that there's some sort of methods or way to move past it. I'll definitely follow up with my little formula. I'll share that so that we can all just refer back to it every now and then and just have a little word with ourselves, sit down, have a little chat, and just move past these insecurities. And thank you so much for listening. If you've gotten this far in the podcast, in the episode, I really appreciate it. I'm gonna leave it there, because I've had so many rants about this, and if I start kind of getting back into it and everything, I'll start ranting again. But I really hope you enjoyed it, and let's just do PSA. We don't do body types anymore. Okay? We don't. That's a thing of the past. We're leaving that in the 1940s, where it fucking belongs.